Isn't that the strangest thing? You and I are having the worst possible. Oh, there we go.
Oh, hang on.
There we
It
go.
says my phone is saying Jim's camera is off.
I can see you fine. And I am going to do something here. You see, the whole thing about it is you and I are a little bit suffering from on the technical side.
Well, yeah, I
Of,
suffer with that badly.
yeah, but I have to tell you that now I am recording you.
Hmm.
So, good morning, Andrew. It's it's another great day from Seven Spot, and you're being recorded now. You're on the screen. You can see me, I think, and I can
No,
see
I
you.
can't
But
see you. I can't see you.
you,
My camera is
oh,
saying Jim's camera is off.
that's not good. Bloody hell! Because I can see your shed really well, and
Well, I'll stand up and I'll turn around, and you can see all the other stuff in the shed.
this is really a little disappointing, because oh my goodness, look at that! You can see the Slotus over there.
Yeah, she's parking there, ready for another day. I just had the
Okay,
bonnet off
well,
doing.
actually, why don't we go on? I mean, you may not be able to see me, but so what? It's just my smiling face. We're really here to talk to you and find out the Slotus story, for crying out loud.
Sure,
So
sure, not a problem.
you've had this in your family for a while, correct?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it started life brand new in 1957, and
Mm-hmm.
in 1958.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just show you this if you can see that. Can you see that?
Yeah,
Maybe not. Maybe
I
not.
can see your finger.
No, I don't
I
know
think
why
you
you
get your
can see my
finger right
finger.
over the camera lens. There we go. Can
Yeah,
see that just
see
fine.
that?
Oh, Roger Woodall, Andrew Woodall, Michael Woodall, and Aaron Woodall.
That's it.
Yeah, lovely.
Okay,
The
well
1960s.
that's three generations of Woodalls have raced this car.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Well, it
absolutely fabulous.
started life in 1957.
Hmm.
My father bought it brand new off Stan Brown, who built it. Um, we started racing it in '58, so
Hmm.
its historic history is from 1958. So its logbook says it's a 1958 model, although it actually started life in '57.
Hmm. Can I ask you something? Because there's going to be a lot of us who are watching who are going to say, "What's a Slotus?" So tell
Okay,
us what a Slotus is.
okay. Well, Stan Brown
Hmm.
was an employee of Colin Chapman's in England,
Yes.
building bodies on Lotus Sixes, and
Hmm.
he migrated to Australia in the mid '50s or
Hmm.
'56 or something, and he brought with him a set of hand-drawn Colin Chapman Lotus Six chassis plans
Okay.
and a few sheets of anodized aluminium. Why he would do that, I've got no idea, but he did. When he arrived in Australia, he rented a little workshop in North Sydney and
Hmm.
built this car. So this chassis is a Lotus 6 chassis,
Okay.
and its whole life it was called Stan's Lotus,
Okay.
which got shortened by the commentators at racetracks and by interested parties to Slotus, from Stan's Lotus to Slotus.
Yeah.
And there's been several Slotuses built
Hmm.
other than this one,
Yeah.
and they all got the
Oh, that's
name Slotus.
yeah. Well, it's not disparaging. Let me tell you, it is lovely.
Well, Stan's has long gone. He died in the late '60s.
Hmm.
His wife, who was alive up until just a couple of years ago,
Hmm.
found that I had this car, or the rear mudguards.
Yes.
Yeah. If I can show you the rear
Yeah.
mudguard
You're doing
there,
good. Yeah.
um,
They're beautiful.
there's a big line of weld down here. Okay, line of
Oh, there's
weld.
a weld line in
When
there,
I
is
got
there?
the car,
Yeah.
sure, there's another one across there. Can you see that one?
I
and
can.
there's
Oh
another
yeah, I
one
can see
here.
that. Yep.
Okay. Well, when I got this car, these mudguards had 2 inches added in here.
Okay, got it.
And what I did was I took the mudguards back to a guy called Rod Hoffman, who is Stan Brown's son-in-law. He married Stan's daughter, and he still has all of Stan's jigs, toolings, and what have you. Still to this day, he's still got them. I took the guards to him, and he took that 2 inches out and re-welded it all back together again, and wheeled it
So it's
up on
all
the
go
same
back to,
machine. Yeah, it's
yeah, it's
on the
all
same
gone
machine that
back
Stan
to
built.
the original tire size
Yeah,
dimensions.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so that was, and because of that association with Rod, I met his mother-in-law who lived with them in their house, and she said, "Oh, seeing how that you've got," she called the car the Bat because of its unusual front mudguards. Seeing how that you own the Bat, you need to keep these. And she gave me a cardboard tube with the plans in it, the
Oh,
plans that
really?
Stan had on his on his workshop wall, pencil on graph paper.
Yep.
Um, Fantastic, yeah, just fantastic.
That is great. That's the
And
tradition and the
this
history.
original, yeah. Well, so you guys would probably know that a Lotus 6 was a kit car by Stan Brown,
Yep.
and what you did is you bought the kit from, it's a kit from Colin Chapman in England. So, and you bought a body chassis kit, and then you supplied a Ford 10 or Ford Popular. I don't know what you call them in the States, but
Sure, 410. Yeah, we understand.
Ford, yeah, Ford Prefect. And then you put all those parts into the Lotus kit. Well, in Australia, Ford 10s and Ford Pops weren't very popular, but Austin A40s were. They were thick on the ground. We had every family in the world in the country had an Austin A40 in the driveway.
Yeah.
So because they were so easy to come by, Stan decided that I'm not going to use a Ford 10. I'm going to use something that's easy to buy, easy and cheap to get. So he got an Austin A40, and that was his donor car. And if I can do this properly for you, can you
We'll
see that?
figure it
Is
out.
that the motor there?
Great fingers.
I got my finger on
Right on the lens.
How's that?
Ah, there we go. Yeah,
Can you see it there?
I can see that
You got
well. Yeah.
a
Reception is
little
actually
Austin
remarkably good.
A40 motor.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, 1200 cc or
Yeah.
1170 or something. I've kept it at 1170, but we've highly modified the internals. I now get 107 brake horsepower out of that little guy, and
Wow.
it's it serves itself. I'll see if I can just walk around here for you. I've got the nose of it off. I took the nose off just in case you wanted to have a little look.
Well, yeah, thank you very
And
much. And
when
you've supplied me with
Stan
some
Brown
photos.
was
So
invited, sorry.
I was just going to say you've supplied me with a good number of photos. So after we're finished with this recording, I'm going to overlay some of the photos into it so people get a good idea of what the finished product looked
Yeah.
like.
Well, my dad was president of a local car club called the Campbelltown and Districts Car Club. He invited Stan Brown to come and give a talk at one of their meetings, and that's where the friendship struck. He and Stan Brown came from a similar part in England, and they got on famously. Dad went and had a look at the car. It's at North Sydney, and instantly decided to buy it. This car cost my father £750. Put that into perspective, a new Holden of the day, which was an FC Holden, 56 model Holden, was £540. So it was significantly more than buying a new car. And in
And a
doing
hell of a
that,
lot
I'll
more
show you
fun.
this. Yeah, I'll show you this if I can. Keep my finger on. Can you see that? That's the
That's
badge,
lovely. I
the
was wondering
Campbelltown
what
and
that is.
Districts Car Club badge.
Also,
That
so
badge
that's
has been on that grill since 1950.
that's the Campbell. How did you call it? The Campbell Car Club or
Campbelltown,
Campbellton? Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Campbellton. Yeah.
Campbelltown. Campbelltown and Districts Motor Club. That badge has been there since 1957.
Wow, nice.
My
It
my
looks
son
perfect on the car.
my son is a jeweler,
Hmm.
and he made, I don't know if you can see it, the Slotus badge.
Yep. Yeah, I see that.
Yes, there. Can you see that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
So yeah, it's a big family deal, this car.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, lovely, well-stocked shed you've got there.
Well, it's probably about 2.5 acres, not big enough, but you probably see here. This is my. Can you see this car here?
Yep.
My Survivor. This car, 1935 Morgan three-wheeler, survived the Blitz in London. Anyway,
Wow.
that's another story. And I got another 1927 Morgan up in the roof. That I'll
Yeah,
get
you're a
around to
Morgan
one day.
guy.
Oh yeah, through and through.
And you've got
Through and
a
through.
Morgan replica, is it?
Oh,
Or
yeah,
is it fair to call it a Morgan replica?
absolutely. Can you see that?
I can. It's just gorgeous. When I looked at it, I said, it's a Morgan, but it's a little bit, it looks a lot tougher than a +4, I can tell you that.
Oh yeah. Well, it it was actually I've always wanted a Morgan, one of these round nose Morgans, and I could never afford one. You know, they're 150 grand. Couldn't afford one, so I built one. Started with 2 lengths of 2x2 RHS box section still laying on the floor, and what you see there is the end result. Aluminium body,
Yeah.
a used local. I think you call them a Buick motor. We call them a Rover motor.
Okay,
But
yeah.
in Australia, we had a car called a Leyland 76, which was a Rover motor V8, but 4.4 litre. And that's got the the Leyland 4.4 litre motor and Borg Warner 210 gearbox and a Ford rear end. Thing goes like a cut snake. It's got 270 rear wheel horsepower, and it's just
Lovely.
such fun to drive. Yeah, it's just such fun to drive.
And does it have the same coal cart suspension as the Morgan?
No.
Like the Hotchkiss
No.
rear suspension?
No, billy cart suspension. No. It's a bit more sophisticated than a real Morgan. It's actually got inboard rocker arm front suspension, and
Okay,
it's
good.
got four-link trailing arm with What's Link on the back.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, that's great. Fabulous.
And the Slotus has got, as you can probably guess and see, it's got 4-link trailing arm rear suspension, and
Okay.
it's attached to a Morris diff.
Okay.
And it's also got a panhard. It's got a panhard rod underneath there as well.
Right. Fabulous.
Yeah,
Absolutely
it's
fabulous.
I don't think that the Slotus is anything kind of special. I don't think you say it was innovative in design. And in fact, Stan Brown was not an engineer. He was excuse me, I'm just taking the rear, what do you call them, rear deck, rear boot lid off, just to show you what's in the back.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little Morris
Lovely.
Morris Minor diff.
Mm-hmm.
The Morris Minor's got so many different diff ratios, it's unbelievable. And what you see there is pretty much as it was back in 1957.
Wow. Nice. What a
And the
glorious
difference
car.
is
Thank you.
possibly the fuel pump is probably the only thing that's a bit different.
Yep. Absolutely fabulous. Thank you for sharing that with us, Andrew. It's absolutely fabulous, I got to say.
Yeah, not a problem. It's nice to find somebody who actually appreciates this stuff. You drive it down the road and they take photographs of it, but they don't really appreciate what's gone into building it, finding it in the first place, and then restoring it. You know?
It's the stories for me. I love the stories. I mean, this has been in your family for now 4 generations.
Well,
It's fabulous.
it actually got traded in about 1960. The car got traded in with a guy called Frank Manich. I don't know if you've ever come across him, but he's a fairly famous Australian racing driver, car builder, and what have you. And he had a car yard, and he specialised in high performance sort of Jaguars and things like that. So my brother took it and traded it in on a Healy.
Oh, okay.
So from about 1960 to 1966, we lose it. It gets lost. But it turned up again in time for me to restore it, love it, put it back together, and
that's
I now
that's
race
where
it. My son races it. My daughter has.
And that's where the rear wings got, where you took the dimensions
When
of
it
the
was
rear
out
wing
of
back in.
our life, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Correct. Somewhere in between 60 and 66, the thing got widened in the back. Yeah. As you can see, it's the wheels still kind of protrude out from the mudguards a little bit, but that's normal for Pommy cars of this period.
Yeah. Well, Andrew, I got to say thank you. I mean, I'm going to be taking this video, and I'm going to be, it's not a live video because we don't have the facility to do so, but I managed to record it, and I'm going to edit it down and add in some of that video that you provided, some of the video and some of the photos you've given, and then I'm going to put it up on 7Spot. And if you wouldn't mind, I know that you don't have it in your possession anymore, but I would love you to just tell us briefly about Renmax.
Okay. Michael and I were going to build a 7 for racing. And I know Bob Britton, and I went to him and said, "What do you got?" And he says, "Well, I'll build you a chassis." So he built me one of his chassis off his jig, which is an exact replica of a Lotus 7. Now, you can appreciate Lotus 7s were a very small car, little, tiny, narrow. Two big fat, old, bald, ugly guys like me wouldn't fit into them side by side. Very narrow, little car. So he built this car for me, and he decided to put inboard rocker arm front suspension on it. He built that. I brought it back to my factory, where Mike and I completed the car to what you see in all the photographs. That's with the Honda motor in it. That Honda motor is just devastatingly quick, 265 brake horsepower and 9,500 RPM out of the box without tuning it, without mucking about with it. Reliable horsepower. The thing is such a scary motor car to drive. I've driven all sorts of cars in my day, and I've got to tell you, it's the scariest thing I've ever driven. And once we finished it, I was back and forward to Bob virtually on a weekly basis, getting approval to do little things, and what do you think about this, and can I do that? He helped me all the way along, and in the end, I'd finished the car. Well, we were building a race car, but a guy came to me and said, "How much do you want for the Renmax?" I said, "Mate, it's not for sale." He said, "Mate, everything's for sale for a price. Think of a number." And I thought of this really, really stupid number. And he says, "Okay, can you do it with red with a gold stripe?" And so we did. So once it was finished and road registered, it went to a new owner. But it was a fantastic little car to drive, just fantastic.
I know, what a gorgeous color combo. It looks fabulous. I love the detail work on the, I guess the exhaust cover. It's just like it's gorgeous.
If you look at one of the photographs that I sent you a photograph of our car collection at the time out front of my factory.
Yes, I saw it.
My factory, I was 42 years a specialist in automotive exhausts. And one of the things that I really hate is Clubmans with ugly exhausts. When I built that car, I built the headers off the motor to come, because the Honda motor, all the exhaust is on the right-hand side. When an exhaust system runs down the right-hand side of a car in Australia, it can have a side outlet in front of the wheel. But if it comes out the other side, which most Fords or 4AGEs and those sorts of things, they go out the other side, and you've got to run it right to the back of the car, because you can't have your car blowing black smoke on the lovely little Dolly Bird's white stockings. So
Yeah.
it's got to come out this with the Renmax. It came out the driver's side. So all of that is a fiberglass cover that covers everything from the headers to the tailpipe.
Mm-hmm.
That includes the catalytic converter and the big giant muffler I had to put in there because we have to comply to 96 decibels.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was a bit of a compliance issue, but the whole issue was a compliance thing in Australia. I don't know what it's like for 7 builders in other countries, but in Australia, that car had to comply to all the current ADRs, Australian design rules, for that year. So that means that all the pollution had to be upgraded to run low emissions. Braking systems had to be tested. I had to do a lozenge and twist test on the chassis, which I think I've sent you some photographs of that actually happening in the workshop. So, yeah, a lot of things like had to have a seat belt light to say that, your seat belt's not connected. So there was a lot of electronic issues, and Hondas being Hondas, their ignition system is integrated in a whole wiring loom. So we had to put a Motec computer in it and have it all tuned especially. So, yeah, a lot of mucking about.
Well, it's gorgeous, and I'm going to include all those photographs that you've provided. It'll be eaten up because, quite frankly, everything in Australia we don't know about, but in particular Renmax. I did not know that Renmax made a Clubman. It's just like that was news.
Do you know how Renmax got its name?
Ren, I believe. Well, I'll let you tell the world, but I do.
I said to Bob,
because you told me. So why don't you tell everybody else?
Okay. Well, I asked Bob one day, where did you get the name Renmax from? Because it doesn't make sense. And he said, well, Ren is German for race, and it's just, as far as I'm concerned, is racing to the max. So it was Renmax. That's just how it came about. And they've been Renmaxes since the late 50s.
Yeah, and Bob is an interesting story in itself. What is Bob's last name?
Britton, Britton. Yeah.
Okay, and he's a young lad, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's 84 or something.
84.
Yeah, he's 84.
And he's still at it, is he?
Yeah. Oh, still making it. He gets halfway through a project and then he figures out what his next project's going to be. And
That's
people
fabulous.
give him things. Like a neighbour came up just recently and said, oh, I've got this old BMW you can have. So he turned it into a Maserati 3000 copy. He's just and he likes his Clubman, and he built a single seat motorcycle powered Clubman with a roof in it because he didn't like getting wet in the rain, so he built one with and it looks a bit like the fuselage of a World War II fighter, and it's on 4 wheels. The motors in the back. He's also built a Clubman with a transaxle rather than a drive shaft and diff. Like he's just when he's halfway through a project, he's looking for the next project to build.
Yeah.
The last one I saw him doing was the Maserati. But I know he's doing something else at the moment, but I haven't been to see him for a while because of the COVID lockdowns.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're doing the virtual and socially distanced sevens, because we're all kind of in this mess together. But I'm going to say this because we've been going for 23 minutes, and believe me, we can do this again another time. But I'm going to put a bow on this one, and I'm going to say thank you because this is. It's amazing. I mean, I'm amazed because I'm now jealous. I want to be Australian.
Well, as I said to you at a phone call once before, Jim, that in Australia we didn't have the pleasure of having custom built one-off race cars that come out of factories. We were competing with cars that were built up out of what we could find in wrecking yards. Which is why we have a whole lot of surplus, Second World War surplus tank-engined race cars, which is what the Maybach was. And things like the Ford V8s were very popular. And Clubman, because they were cheap and easy to build, a lot of Clubmans in Australia. Big, yeah. I've seen fields at racetracks of 30 plus Clubmans.
Yeah, I'm
And in fact,
really jealous.
one of the circuits that we raced at, the outright lap record was held by a Clubman. Yeah.
Wow. Well, Andrew, I'm going to let you have a wonderful day, and I'm going to say thank you for now, because I'm going to take all this stuff, I'm going to compile it. Tomorrow I'm going to edit it and throw in all the rest of the video and the pictures. And
Can you see that one?
I can do
See that
that.
one?
I can see, yeah. Who's that?
Okay, that's my brother in the pit area at Bathurst.
Okay.
Notice it's registered.
Yep, I think you sent me that photo. I'll probably overlay this one. Yeah.
This fence here is what we call Mountain Straight at Bathurst. Yeah.
That's amazing. Lovely
All right.
stuff.
Well, thanks for the interest. It's
No,
it's been great.
believe me, I'm glad that we got together. We've had a few communication issues trying to get this thing set up, but I am so pleased. Thank you so much.
Look, absolutely my pleasure. Trust me.
Oh, believe me, we'll get together. Like someone told me that, well, I don't know if it was you or somebody said, I could go on for hours, he said. Somebody said that.
That'd be me. That'd be me. I do have that ability to dribble on for a long time.
No worries. We'll get together and we'll dribble some more. All right. Have a
Look,
great day, and we'll
looking
talk
forward to it.
soon. All right. Cheers.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Jim. See you then.
All right. Bye.
Hooroo.
Tooroo.